Rokan la vua bao luk ngui chivi, va langui man, nutrong thejori ao Zelloth. Unfortunately, the upsort command from an enemy guild caused him to lose everything. With his middle finger raised and the classic go straight to hell line, Rokan's head flew off into the chicken coop from Odin's critical slash, the leader of the Jack Narrow Guild. The notification popped up, "You've been KO'd. Your death penalty level dropped. Random items dropped." And a stomach grab debuff appeared on the screen. Rokan was pissed off, his temper flaring up. He sat down, brooding over the past. A few years ago, Zelloth suddenly appeared and shocked the whole world. A world bigger than Earth itself. Once the strongest among the strongest. With solo combat skills considered top tier, earning him the title of the Violent King Rokan. But forget that now. Ever since that Odin guy showed up, everything changed. This was the 8th time Rokan got ganged up on by those Jack Narrow jerks. Every time he died, his rank dropped and items randomly dropped. The thought of letting Jack go instead of giving up after getting wrecked by those bastards was burning inside him. Rokan kept pushing himself to come back even after being forcefully kicked out. The message, "You no longer hold the Violent King title due to failing minimum requirements," was instantly sent. Rokan was in agony. The legend of Rokan, the strongest and most violent in Zelloth, had been tossed into the chicken coop. Jack's beta was a lavish death. The next day the news was buzzing non-stop. Rokan angrily slammed the beam. Realizing there was no plot twist to save him, his life was basically over. He was getting weaker and couldn't solo those level-boosting jerks anymore. Being chased down felt like that horned guy in One Piece getting wrecked by a bunch of kids. Thinking about rent day, Rokan was so fed up, he crawled out of bed to find anything in the house to sell for some cash. Looking around, he realized the hackers had broken in and stolen his stuff. His simulation chamber was nowhere to be found. He thought maybe it was all a weird dream, and the request to retract was just a hallucination. Rokan sensed something was off, wondering where he was as he stared at his phone screen. The notification Zelloth will be released soon flashed right in front of him. Rokan hurried outside, clueless if it was lucky or not, but the fact he'd gone back 3 years stunned him to the core. After a wild freak-out, getting arrested by the cops and banging his head against the wall to check if he was losing it, plus a bunch of other crazy stuff, Rokan had to face the harsh truth. He'd traveled back 3 years, 1 month before Zelloth's debut. Though he had to start over with his experience and strength, Rokan was determined to get revenge on those toxic gankers, become the strongest emperor, and reclaim his lost title as the king of violence. And so a month later, armed with all his knowledge, Rokan returned with full pride. Confident, he kicked off his comeback by easily wiping out the first dumbass, earning the warrior title after defeating a higher-level opponent. Rokan smirked, fully aware of the special feature in Zelloth, the achievement system. When someone pulls off a special move or achieves something nearly impossible, their stats get boosted with a special effect. The condition to finish the tutorial with him was pretty easy: just survive in this village and fend off the invading goblins. All he had to do was dodge them and escape the village. But a seasoned vet like him knew a real way to finish it, not just hiding and running away. The perfect way to complete it was to charge headfirst into death, basically wipe out every single goblin invading the village without letting any survive. Rokan went with a divide and conquer strategy, and that's how he took down the Jadasan goblin leader. But that method wasn't super effective. If fewer than 15 goblins remained, the alpha would sense danger and gather all the goblins together. They'd stick together no matter what the player did. For this, Rokan had to switch to plan B. He hid inside a house, lured 3 goblins at once, chugged a bunch of PPTT healing potions, then smashed them to bits. Before Rokan could even celebrate, the boss outside roared with its minions, screaming in a terrifying voice, hunting for him. Rokan, who had been waiting for this, switched tactics to lockdown mode, downed a bunch of healing potions, actually strength and agility boosters, to face it head-on. He dodged left, dodged right, swinging his umbrella to lightly bop their heads. With this unexpected win against stronger foes, Rokan earned the natural warrior title from the system. He got 3 points in agility and dexterity, plus a 5% crit chance boost when fighting 5 or more enemies. Even though Rokan was only level 1, his stats were already on par with a level 10 player. The monsters charged again, but Rokan, freshly buffed, easily knocked them down in a flash. Finally, it was the alpha's turn. It let out a roar and charged with all its might. But this boss wasn't a pushover. It was stronger and more agile than the regular goblins. One hit from it felt like an earthquake. Still, a goblin's a goblin. Rokan had already analyzed its simple attack patterns. He rushed in and slashed the blue-green beast right in the neck. The boss toppled to the ground and it seemed like it was over. Nope, that was nothing to it. The boss suddenly got up, grabbed Rokan's leg and started spinning him around like a rag doll. Rokan got wrecked, took a ton of damage, and his stamina dropped to 20%. Thought he had it easy, but it just got way worse. Luckily, when the boss tried to stomp him to bits, Rokan dodged just in time, otherwise he'd be toast. Now Rokan realized the problem wasn't strength or speed. This time, he was seriously tangled up with a nightmare. Its defense was so solid that Rokan couldn't land a killing blow, and his power boost only lasted 5 more minutes. He was out of options, time to fight or flight. He braced himself, thinking he was about to witness an epic showdown. But nope, out of all 36 stratagems, Rokan chose to run. He used every ounce of energy he had since birth to bolt. The boss, like a stunned avocado, froze for 5 seconds, realizing its prey was escaping, then hurried after him. It slashed through every alley in the village searching. The game really didn't disappoint with the monsters. Soon enough, it caught the familiar scent and slashed through the house where Rokan was hiding. But now, Rokan wasn't a pushover anymore. He just grabbed the last item he stole from the low-tier fire-resistant scroll shop. He was about to bait it when it showed up right in his face, no effort needed. Rokan put on his innocent, I'm not guilty face, waved his hands to make peace, but the boss cat kept targeting where it sensed someone. Rokan didn't have enough space to dodge again and kept getting shredded to bits. Notification: you've taken 74 injuries. Standing before you, your whole body aches, unable to move an inch. Before the boss could charge forward, Rokan quickly raised his strange tree. He grinned wickedly, making his enemies bleed. Then Rokan stood up, flipped the middle finger and said, "Later, dumbass." Turns out the guy used the third tactic, making use of everything around him. In less than 3 seconds, he left the boss crushed under the house behind him, a total dirty player move. Even knowing he did it for the trial, Rokan felt a bit down, seeing a mighty warrior struggle just to beat a monster. The tutorial was done. He was the first to snag David's post-trial title, plus a bunch of rewards. Including hard bali bread, that's tough to chew, but better than nothing, $50 and 5 anonymous armor pieces. Rokan smirked, thinking the trial wasn't half bad. Checking his info board, he saw a legendary title. He still couldn't believe it. Fame and skills were already overwhelming, and now with extra buffs, straight up amazing. After reviewing all his stats, Rokan happily headed to PKed City to kick off his next plan. Putting on his dumbass face, he glanced around, hoping to spot some members of the Rock Guild to take them out early. But something felt off. According to Odin's notes, they even changed their looks, cosplaying Greek gods, so how could he tell who's who? Thinking it over, Rokan ditched the time-wasting plan. Forget it, dwelling on it won't help. Better to prep hard for the day he meets them again, that's way more doable. Now his mission was to get stronger than anyone else and fast. While lost in thought, an NPC guarding the training ground suddenly appeared. "Hey, you want to get stronger? Come here, I'll make you as strong as me." Rokan rubbed his chin, sighed, and agreed to use the training ground. The NPC's eyes sparkled like stars, charging 20 copper coins per session. Thought there'd be some catch, but nope, it's just about the money. Fired up, Rokan pumped his fists and started smashing the training dummies. At the start, these dummies are the go-to for grinding experience in PKed City. You gain experience points by hitting them. Couldn't be easier, so many newbies rush here right off the bat. But sooner or later they realize it's super inefficient. Doing side quests for NPCs nets more experience plus cash and food. And the training ground, oh man, you gotta pay to play. Watching Rokan still bleeding and throwing punches, some other players got annoyed and started gossiping about how long he'd last. But little did they know, he was the one who truly understood the weak spot of this training ground. Leveling up isn't the only goal. If you spend time beating up dummies until you're drained, your stats can actually increase. 10 days later, Rokan was still non-stop throwing punches at the dummy. Those clowns saw his energy and mocked him, thinking he was just some attention seeker. To shut them up, Rokan smashed the dummy to pieces. Then came a bunch of notifications showing his stats maxed out in the training ground, along with the 100 Strikes Worker title. Rokan was breathing hard like a mad dog, but didn't miss a single word. Just as he was feeling pumped, the training ground NPC popped up with a shady grin, asking if he wanted to get stronger. Of course Rokan wanted that, but he let the guy talk. Turns out this dude had been watching him for 10 days and offered a deal. If Rokan wanted to level up faster, he had to follow him. Rokan was caught off guard, wondering if this was some hidden quest. For the chance to get stronger, he didn't hesitate and agreed right away. But Rokan never expected there'd be a secret passage under the training ground, and now he stumbled onto some hidden stuff. Smelled like a treasure trove or something. He was hyped, thinking about the NPC, mentioning higher ranks, and feeling pumped. But before he could enjoy it, his face fell, and 2 words echoed in his head, Ox ID. When he found out this place was an advanced training zone only for the chosen ones, just like the NPC said. Rokan just wanted to bang his head against the wall. Damn it, why'd that guy have to mention higher ranks and hype him up? Seeing Rokan's disappointment, the NPC explained that these weren't ordinary dummies. They moved like real people could attack and defend, and players couldn't even look at naked chickens on the altar if they weren't level 10 yet. Hearing that, Rokan felt a thrill. Getting beaten up sometimes ain't so bad. Like recharged, he jumped right into the dummy fight and became a punching bag for a while. Then, 5 days later, after taking the hits, Rokan flipped the script and started dishing out the pain. He hit level 10, maxed out his stats, and best of all, earned another level master title. Along with that came a 50% boost to all his stats. Looking back, it felt like a nightmare, but in the end, he made it. Just beating up some wooden dummies was totally worth it. With his stats stacked, Rokan dipped out to Catan City to change his class. Quick and smooth, he immediately switched his starting class to Berserker amid cheers. All his levels reset to 1, but all his stats stayed intact. Next up was the class change reward. He got to pick any weapon he wanted. Without a second thought, Rokan grabbed the umbrella from before his eyes, rolling as he swung it a few times. Strong gusts sliced through the air, looking totally badass like a boss. Honestly, Rokan was clueless about which profession to pick, unlike before when he knew a bunch of hidden classes and how to unlock them. But thinking about those damn cosplay gods, if he wanted to take them all down, nothing beats Berserker. Odin always had bodyguards around, and Berserker gains extra stats when fighting in groups. Plus, Berserker can use his transformation skill to boost stats even more, making it one of the best classes for those with high base stats. He could pump his stats through combat skills, and most importantly, unless that bastard Odin wanted to marry him off, Rokan was dead set on chopping his head off. Just thinking about it made Rokan feel pretty damn clever. While enjoying that little thrill, he suddenly got a new notification. It was about a hidden quest, searching for signs of the wild wind, the force that blew away the world ages ago, looking for remnants and fulfilling its last wishes before waiting for the wild wind's return. Seeing these hidden quests for the first time, Rokan was a bit surprised. He racked his brain, but couldn't figure out what the hell it was about. Whatever, he decided to put it aside for now and just focus on making some cash. Rokan dashed to Iraq Bank with his profession and name, taking out the biggest loan of 30 silver coins at 3% interest per month. With cash in hand, he went all out, going all in, to buy the first batch of Berserker skill tests. He spent 10 silver coins learning the transformation skill, plus 4 other skills. While shopping, Rokan tried to ask the seller about the wild wind, but only got a clueless shrug in response. Bored, Rokan headed to the plaza, crossed his legs, and started thinking hard. He thought it might be a quest related to Berserker, but even the guild leader had no clue. And even as the top-ranked Berserker, he'd never heard of that quest. Rokan was pissed. Had someone already done it before him? Damn it, he cursed silently. How the hell could a newbie like him pull that off? The quest rewards were tempting, but so far, no one had even scratched the surface. It was just a pipe dream. Opening his status window, which was looking pretty pink, leveled up, Rokan studied it a bit and decided he just needed to level up one more night. He grinned wickedly, wondering if he should just go all in on the crazy plan he'd cooked up. And thinking was doing, he got right to it. Rokan sprawled out in the plaza, sending out a call for a knight to take him to the harsh region, where the orc camp was offering 15 silver coins as a reward. Other players passing by gave him side-eye, thinking this dude was nuts. Money talks though. Seeing the offer, a guy nearby stepped up to negotiate. "You want to come with me to the orc camp? Brother here wants the reward up front." Rokan barely responded, probing, "Going solo, what's your level?" The guy confidently said he was level 25, a heavy armor knight. Rokan thought for sure he'd say yes. But nope, he just told him to scram, leaving the guy dumbfounded. Humiliated, the guy nervously claimed he had the warrior badge and could handle it himself. Rokan didn't care much, still fiercely kicking that jerk to the curb. Feeling humiliated like a sardine, disrespected in public, the bastard immediately switched to a defensive stance against him. After realizing Rokan was just a fresh level, one who'd recently changed his class, he flailed like crazy. "Pooh, ha ha ha, if your skills suck you better shut your mouth and bounce." Hearing that Rokan coldly shot back, "One question, you wanna die?" that only fueled the guy's fire even more. Nobody wants to die, but as the theory goes, light always comes before sound. Dumbasses, their sound always beats their brain. So he squared off with Rokan, ready to throw down. Applying the rule, don't argue with drunks, don't shake hands with jerks, don't fight reckless fools, and don't waste words on idiots. Rokan just smirked, and the guy bet a fan on it. Winner takes 15 bucks, no penalties, no bloodshed, just a friendly wager. His master hesitated, but Rokan threw in another challenger. Scared, afraid a level 25 would lose to a level 1. With no way out, the other dude decided to go all in. After all, he was higher level, what was he scared of? And just like that, he accepted Rokan's challenge. Rokan's looks were average, but his tactics were endless. He grinned with pure joy as the crowd watched. Their showdown drew a big crowd, including a trio who came just to watch the drama unfold. Rokan didn't even bother pulling out a weapon. He flipped the middle finger to taunt, then lightly dodged the opponent's heavy blows. Then he knocked the guy out cold with a barrage face back stomach every punch landed. While fighting, Rokan silently thought the dude was a total idiot. He had no clue Rokan had maxed out his secondary stats in the training zone. Rokan's level reset only because he changed his class. That was his main bait to lure the guy in. His main stats were actually way past level 50 already. The bastard got wrecked so brutally, even the onlookers were shook. They couldn't believe someone could go toe-to-toe with that armor, using just fists. After tiring himself out, Rokan finished him off with a critical move, slamming the dude's head straight into the ground, flexing hard, proving not all level 1s are the same. The guy took the beating, instantly transformed, and bailed out of the fight right then and there. Scoring $15, Rokan grabbed it quick, so this was his crazy leveling hack all along. His win freaked out. The other players who kept their distance, scared they'd become his next target. With cash in hand, Rokan started thinking about quitting the harsh grind. Just when he was bored and clueless about how to get there, the trio from earlier approached Trangang, wanting to take on that quest. Rokan sized them up with a sharp eye, and figured they seemed a bit more legit. After learning they were all above level 30, a tank, a damage dealer, and a healer, Rokan agreed to pay up on the spot. But instead of teaming up to fight, he just wanted them to escort him to the camp, doing nothing but watching on the way. The deal was set, and the other side also accepted the $10 deposit. After a while, they finally reached the Snail Clan's harsh territory. Seemingly familiar with the place, they quickly scouted the patrol routes and sneaked closer to their main base. But the back door, the only one, was guarded by soldiers. No worries though, they used magic to take out the guards and smoothly got Rokan inside. Deal done. Rokan didn't hesitate to hand over the cash and politely sent them off to settle the debt. Those guys were pretty clueless about what he planned to do inside, especially since he even spent money to get here. The smartest dude in the group figured Rokan had a purpose. He wasn't just weak and needing help. The one-on-one fight earlier proved it too. Witnesses said the tall knight was the one who struck first. The one attacked first was allowed to defend themselves, and even gained experience by defeating their opponent, a prime chance to level up. Now the two who came along realized this guy wasn't ordinary. There had to be a reason he stayed stuck at level 1 until now. While they were still chatting, Rokan reached the camp's center, pacing back and forth like he owned the place. He stood right in front of the monsters, took a deep breath, loud enough to wake their ancestors from the grave. "Who here knows what warrior honor means? If there's a real warrior, fight me now," he shouted. The snails heard a human's voice and swarmed over to check it out. It was the first time they'd heard a human talk about snail honor, so they were super curious. Rokan, on the other hand, knew exactly how to beat them like the back of his hand, but never revealed it outside. The trick was to storm right into their camp and challenge them to a duel over honor. Of course, he wasn't just here to level up. The key to getting stronger in this game, something nearly impossible to achieve, was earning a legendary rank as a bonus. That was his real goal. Seeing their confused faces, Rokan yelled again, calling out for the strongest of the strong. Not keeping him waiting, their leader, a snail over 10 feet tall, mocked him with a sneer right in his face. "This is your chance to prove your honor, human. Step up," he said. Seeing the boss, Rokan hesitated, sweat dripping down his face. Had he been too cocky? He didn't expect the snail chief to be here. Compared to regular players, this guy was at least level 70. With Rokan's current stats, it was a death sentence. Rokan wasn't afraid of heaven or earth, but he was scared of pretty much everything else. He bit down, unsure what to say back, thinking maybe he should just bail before things got worse. Just when things were tight, suddenly, by some miracle, another lower-level snail ran up to intervene. "Not the chief, he's ours. Give us a chance to prove our honor." Rokan felt like he'd been thrown a lifeline. His eyes lit up like car headlights. This was his shot at survival. Fighting this dude is way tougher than facing that boss guy. The battle quickly kicked off between Rokan and Kalo, a level 4 OC warrior. Rokan felt a bit relieved facing a weaker opponent. But just as he thought that feeling kinda lame, he snapped himself back. There's no way he'd get stronger thinking like that against that damn Odin. After tweaking his setup and recalculating his stats, Rokan started his show. He confidently stared down the Okchief, saying, "I'll predict your moves. Today I'm sending you off to sell salt." Seeing his leader insulted, Kalo charged forward with his wine bottle. Rokan was quick on the draw and matched his pace. He threw a few jabs, then blocked Kalo's attack with his last bottle of booze. Kahlo underestimated Rokan, not expecting him to be this legit. Pushed back, the Auk chief used his taunt to lower Rokan's stats, then seized the moment to swing his weapon, aiming to snap Rokan's neck. But Rokan wasn't having it. He dodged every hit and blocked every slash. They clashed like moths to a flame, both risking it all. After a while, Kahlo still hadn't landed a single hit, wondering if he'd been cursed. He was supposed to be stronger. The onlookers kept egging him on, yelling to fight properly, or admit his hair was blinding him. While Kahlo was freaking out, Rokan was chill as hell. He laughed arrogantly, acting all superior, showing how easy it was to read a basic Auk warrior's moves just by their prep. The more Kahlo heard the matter, he got going berserk to prove him wrong. The moment arrived, Rokan hit a level 1 sky stroke, boosting his strength stats smoothly, cranking it up to 110%. He charged, shouting, "Big moves, Oxy warrior Kahlo, you'll remember your honor," and slammed straight into his opponent's head. Kahlo barely managed to say, "Humans are strong," before Rokan earned his new title. The nearby Auks looked at him in horror jaws, dropped amazed and grudgingly impressed by his strength. Rokan stood tall, holding his bottle, eager to open his system panel. Just as expected, a new achievement popped up. Level 1. Auk Warrior Destroyer. He clenched his fist, acting all serious. The higher the monster count, the stronger the title's effect. He thought to himself that leveling up with this title might finally let him beat that dumb Auk chief. But the real idiot here was him. The system just dropped news that made Rokan want to crawl into a hole. Titles and stat points will only be awarded after completing the warrior's honor quest. Damn, thought it'd be tough but doable. But before he could even enjoy the win, karma hit hard. Still dazed, the Auk chief swaggered over, saying, "So you've proven you're worthy to fight me." Rokan was pissed, thinking it was all his fault. The chief didn't get it, wasn't it? Rokan, who barged into the camp and stirred things up. Now he had to stick with the warrior's honor till the end. This is a total mess, stinky and trying to act cool. Who told him to get all cocky? The guide on taming Auks back in the day didn't mention any of this crap. Well, since war's raging, losing your life is just part of the game. Rokan's going all in. If he can take down this tribe leader, he's gonna score some sweet rewards. As for the skill, no doubt, it's a death sentence hanging over his head, but he can still snag some earlier rewards. Sometimes, luck beats skill. Gotta go all out when you're in deep. Rokan laughed like a maniac, leapt up and aimed straight at the tribe leader to strike. Finding this human amusing, the tribe leader didn't say much and accepted the challenge right away. Rokan unleashed his blood path, dirty move style, going berserk, boosting all stats by 200%, immune to bleeding out but losing the ability to tell friend from foe. As for the egg relic, it's decent. If you can't control it, you won't die from enemies, but might end up selling salt yourself. Classic. That rush, when your blood's boiling and power explodes such a damn high. That's exactly why he can't snap out of his berserk mode on his own. Even the tribe leader got curious about this savage power. He finally realized his opponent had been hiding his true strength all along. Usually when going berserk, people can't tell friend from foe, but Rokan, with his special skill, could clearly distinguish allies from enemies like it was day 1. Level 1, berserk lasts about 3 minutes. Rokan was confident he'd take the guy down within that time. He threw in a quick blink strike, but the fierce leader fought back hard. Unlike other brutes, this guy had serious strength and durability, like a boss. No sweat, though Rokan's speed was way better now. He landed a hit, pushing the leader back, leaving the onlookers dumbfounded. Both sides realized this dragout wasn't good for anyone. Looks like Rokan had the upper hand, but out of respect for rank, he held back from landing critical blows. With his dirty fighting experience, Rokan searched for openings to land sneaky hits. He quickly spotted a weak spot and charged full throttle. But the power drain hit hard. After the high faded before he could do much, his low-level support weapons snapped in two. Along with that came injuries. His health dropped below 30%, and berserk time was down to just over a minute. Since the tribe leader was basically a boss, attacking him wasn't a walk in the park. Out of options, Rokan went dirty again. He grinned, crazily baiting the enemy by pretending to fake out, letting the opponent strike first just to gauge his rank before making his move. The tribe leader laughed louder and louder, mocking him. "What's wrong? Losing already, so you start making excuses." "I'm the real deal, human," Rokan thought. Spotting the enemy off guard, he seized the moment and launched a direct attack without even bothering to counter. The health warnings kept flashing. He gradually lost strength and collapsed to the ground. The tribe leader raised his sword, said his final goodbye, and prepared to finish him off. Right then, Rokan activated his No Mercy skill, boosting all stats by 50%. The tribe leader sensed the shift and raised his defense, trying to block the incoming strike. Rokan kept pushing with everything he had, cornering the F-Con boss with no way out. his weapon shattered, and the tribe leader screamed in despair. "Nothing's impossible, you bastard," Rokan shouted, as the announcement of defeating the captain echoed. Before passing on with the honor of a warrior, the captain didn't hesitate to acknowledge his strength. Following that were continuous level-up announcements along with the first blah-blah titles. All the Auk creatures witnessing this had recognized his power. But Rokan didn't have much time to think. He quickly pulled out a health potion and gulped it down, or else he'd be meeting his ancestors real soon. Once his strength was back, he eagerly swung his spear at the beast. The other Auks attacked him too. Hearing this, they stopped the fight, replying that the battle was over. Now he was officially a trainee Auk warrior. That's when Rokan got curious and quickly opened the system menu to check. Sure enough, he had earned a rare trainee Auk warrior title. But reading the effect made Rokan want to smash the table. What honor warrior nonsense was that? No extra stats when leveling up Auk either. What the hell, his leveling plan was basically ruined. Still, after thinking it over, he figured it wasn't so bad. Building trust with the Auk species would definitely come in handy later. After wrapping up at the Auk camp, Rokan headed back to the Singing Square. Opening the system again to check, he felt amazing. After just 2 battles, he'd already jumped to level 18. If he took down more, hitting level 31 would be a breeze. The more he thought about it, the more he loved this new life. Riding the high, he started thinking about learning a second skill. No time wasted, he quickly picked up the butchering skill. With this skill, he could skin monsters and sell the meat for some cash. It also helped gather rare resources. Next was the basic healing skill. Once learned, he could save money by not buying so many potions. Though its healing effect was a bit weak except in emergencies, it was still more economical. And most importantly, because he was broke as hell. Everything was set, skills learned, weapons repaired, gear stocked up. Now it was time for Rokan to start the main quest of this game. At Captain's sewer exit, Rokan walked, holding his nose constantly, complaining about the stench that still reeked after several steps. He knew this task would be gross, but he didn't expect it to be this nasty. This was a side quest among a dozen main quests, clearing the sewer. The captain said there'd been a rat infestation lately. Rokan had to hunt the sewer rats, and prove it by bringing back their tails for a reward. Each tail earned some cash. Thinking about Auk's honor, Rokan held his nose and wondered if he should just bail on this place. But then he thought about the money and decided to suck it up and deal with it. According to the plan, he needs to complete 10 missions in the exact order before tackling the main quest. If he doesn't want to back out, best to finish it as fast as possible. After wandering for a bit, he finally spotted the first rat, but this one was weird. Rokan greeted them and just went straight in swinging. The first one got kicked into the chicken coop nearby. Rats swarmed instantly. Rokan barely dodged, then laughed maniacally and helped himself back up to fight. Yeah, these guys coming here on their own makes things way easier. He was hyped as hell. After a while, those filthy rats were all wiped out. In just seconds, Rokan slaughtered over 200 sewer rats, not letting them breed. Rokan knew their bodies were messed up from the plague, some even as big as a cow. Right after saying that, he ran into a level 23 rat beast. Just looking at it made Mao King want to puke. This beast was nasty, but more like toxic waste. It roared, spreading a stench that filled the air. Rokan held his breath, jumped away, then quickly chopped off its tail. Mao King screamed in pain, its belly full of poison, then it spewed a toxic blast. Rokan forgot this thing was poisonous. He didn't dodge in time and got hit in the arm, losing some stamina every 10 seconds. Whatever, it's all XP anyway. After it sprayed poison, the rats rushed in. With this annoying beast, Rokan totally lost it and let out a battle roar. Rokan aimed straight for its belly, landing a critical hit on Mao King to push it back. But since it was a boss, it had healing powers and bounced back in seconds. Rokan wasn't backing down either. He unleashed dozens of skills, swinging wildly, not caring if they hit or missed. After a non-stop beatdown, Mao King was just a bloody mess, barely moving. Even with its body and head crushed, it still tried to spit poison. Rokan didn't give it a chance. He stomped it flat, sending it straight to the afterlife in an instant. Mao King was dead. Rokan leveled up smoothly and gained poison resistance. Now, it was time to carve it up and hunt for rare loot. Ah, here it is, the disaster gem from inside the boss and dozens of other juicy drops. Holding the disaster gem, his stamina stats started dropping. If he didn't recover fast, he'd have to head back to town. Just as he expected, the first mission surprised him, but now he was actually pumped about it. Rokan tried to rush back to town to turn in the loot and grab some cash to blow. On the way, he handed the disaster gem to the gatekeeper, but since it was cursed, even the guards couldn't touch it. As soon as the guard saw it, he freaked out, called Rokan over and handed it to the master. An NPC request suddenly turned into a quest. Rokan had to accept since the reward wasn't bad, a low-tier potion enough to keep him alive. Before Rokan left, the guard gave a tired look and reminded him to shower as soon as possible. And not just that, everyone passing by had to dodge him and clear the way. Rokan dragged himself close to Lord Sterion's place, eyeing the massive house sealed with a ton of magic. He felt a bit uneasy, totally different from the shabby guild houses. Anyway, mages are the go-to choice, even in the previous chapter. Wandering so long, his body was nearly drained, barely able to move. Rokan pushed himself to crawl faster to get there. Struggling up the stairs, he reached Mage Sterion's room and knocked. "Anyone here?" The high-level mage inside slowly wrapped himself up and asked who he was, then pinched his nose, complaining about Rokan's stench, saying he'd shower first before coming out. Though pissed off inside, Rokan didn't have time to argue. His life force was dropping by the minute. He pulled out the plague gem and recounted everything he'd just been through. Sterion immediately recognized it as the plague gem and urged him to hand it over quickly so he could break the curse. Rokan stared straight into his eyes sincerely. Sterion kept pushing him. Suddenly Rokan asked a question that gave the old man chills. "I'll give it to you if you're really Lord Sterion." Then he grabbed his umbrella and pointed it threateningly at him. Rokan stepped forward, ready to swing the umbrella like a weapon. Just then, a shout stopped him. The tree by the window suddenly swayed and transformed into Mage Sterion's form. He smoothed his hair and praised Rokan for finding him. It was just a clone to test magical skills. Rokan's face dropped. He'd thought the guy was some critter on the window frame since mages often turn into animals. But no, he turned into a tree that was wild and lame. Well, thanks to that article by Tonkian in the previous chapter, Rokan could spot the old man easily. Otherwise, with his blurry eyes, he wouldn't have recognized a horned beast even if he saw one. While silently grateful, he got a new title, the one who sees through lies. A unique title that counters illusions, letting him use the truth's revival once a day to detect lies. Talk about a lucky break. Rokan never expected to get such a precious reward. The mage kept pushing him to hand over the gem. Rokan's condition was getting critical. But Rokan stayed stone-faced, not fully trusting him, so he used Truth's revival to thoroughly check the stone. Watching this, Sterion bit his lip in frustration, silently thinking the guy in front of him was a crazy bastard. Once the spell confirmed the truth, Rokan finally let go of the idea of handing it over, taking the antidote instead. The curse was lifted just in time. His body felt much stronger. After examining the gem, Sterion said the plague infection caused the sewer monsters to mutate drastically. He pondered and asked if Rokan knew anything else. Knowing the game's flow, Rokan casually said that gem was insanely deadly. Sterion's eyes lit up like humans discovering fire. He realized humans were the ultimate target. If those plague monsters wandered through alleys or hid in the sewers, he hurriedly stood up, babbling about how he had roughly figured out what they were trying to pull off. Rokan stood beside him, constantly praising him for being sharp, definitely a high-level mage. With just a few clues, he quickly uncovered the cause. They were trying to spread the plague all over the city through the sewer system. Usually it would start in the slums, and then spread everywhere else. Once discovered, players would have to handle the 10 hellish quests to contain the outbreak. Mage Sterion had to report his findings to the captain of the guard immediately. He rushed out and told Rokan to come back in 2 days, making it Rokan's mission with a small XP reward. After the mage left, a bright blue announcement popped up for all players, leaving Rokan totally stunned. Thanks to one player, the first main scenario chapter was now locked in, so the plague, outbreak, quest, and others got scrapped. Rokan paused, realizing the plague outbreak was the first of the 10 hellish quests, and because of him, that quest vanished. So that means no other players can get close to the main scenario. To reach the main scenario, he'd have to grind through a bunch of tough quests, instead of those hellish ones. Damn, this whole thing's a total mindfuck just thinking about it. No time to whine, Rokan had to hustle. In those 2 days he needed to level up as soon as possible. So without wasting a second, he hit the gas right away. He picked a spot, chose his gear, and wandered around scouting locations. He settled on a graveyard confirmed to be empty. But that's for others, someone like him, who knows all the secrets. It was pure gold. After some digging, Rokan found the gravedigger's prosthetic leg. It was a common item. Returning it to its owner would just get you kicked out with no reward. That's why most players thought it was useless, but this leg jackpot. The prosthetic was actually the key to a secret dungeon beneath the graveyard. The dungeon door swung open, triggering tons of buffs like improved vision, letting him see clearly in the dark and spot hidden gear with a low drop rate. Plus, since it was his first time in the dungeon, he got extra bonuses. with stats and loot drop rates boosted by 30%. Rokan felt like he'd been turbocharged, striding confidently inside. He decided to clear the whole place before leaving. But not far, a crazy thought popped into his head. What if a ghost suddenly jumped out to scare him, and he couldn't even fight it off with booze? Just the thought gave him chills. Speaking of ghosts, right then, a thick fog rolled in, and an old creepy hat-wearing figure from the 26th squad appeared out of nowhere. Those damn spine shards were a nightmare, but luckily I could slice them up with my booze or else I would have been toast. Plus, facing them was way better than dealing with those stinky rat-infested creeps. The more Rokan swept through, the more those bone piles turned into just fragments. Checking the system board, it was already crazy long. Over 100 stat points had been added, no need to hold back anymore. Not urgent now, but to speed things up, Rokan boosted his mana, a bit of intelligence, and pumped up his strength. Man, that fresh surge of energy feels awesome. He charged into the monster horde, fired up. Alright, 2 days until the main quest kicks off, so let's hit level 30 before then. Rokan dove into the monster sea like a moth to flame, grinding like it was just a game. Too easy gets boring real fast. He kept chasing that new thrill, but still couldn't find it. Just when he was about to get discouraged, a sweet drop appeared. A level 30, Dungeon Frost warrior boss bringing his hype back. Rokan's blood was pumping hard. He charged up with fierce energy. Thought it'd be tough, but it turned out to be just another regular mob. He killed it in 2 hits instantly, respawning the boss. Rokan bored, checked again, leveled up to 30. This hellhole was finally done. He'd been non-stop for 2 days, wiping out monsters as soon as they spawned. Not bad at all. Rokan leveled up 10 times in 2 days and snagged a gold coin plus 80 silver coins. Best part, he scored a bunch of Frost Knight armor that any warrior would kill for, but damn, it looked ugly as hell, so he probably wouldn't even use it. After thinking it over, Rokan decided to sell the gear and invest the cash somewhere else. Knowing Zelloth's future made planning a breeze. Though leaving this killer grind spot sucked, selling intel about it was pretty lucrative. Especially for guilds like the Mage Guild, eager to train newbies, they'd swarm this place for sure. Just thinking about it made Rokan feel like he was swimming in cash. Managing all that loot took him half a day. Back at the Mage Guild HQ, Steroyan learned they hadn't found anything, no witnesses either. Makes sense, no way the culprit would get caught that easily. Those guys are pros. The issue of stopping them was settled, but basically Rokan had already crushed their plan at the source. Then the guild leader pulled out an earth gem and asked Rokan to help read its memories. It was a low-level gem with limited power, but it had helped them figure out monster hunting strategies before. He asked Rokan to collect some Brain Warrior blood and Wild Beast blood, offering 10 silver coins and the title of Steroyan's apprentice as a reward. Seeing it was a main quest, Rokan wasn't thrilled but had no choice but to do it. Those monsters definitely wouldn't donate blood willingly, so he'd have to extract it by force. But since he was currently carrying the prestigious Brain Warrior blood himself, extracting theirs was impossible. After thinking it over, Rokan decided to take a risk and play dirty for a big payoff. He boldly stood in front of the boss cave, demanding they open up so he could snag some blood. These guys were all cocky at first, but the moment they heard about the bloodletting, they flipped out. A warrior's blood can't just be given away like that. Warriors only spill blood on the battlefield. Anywhere else is pure disrespect. Damn cheapskates, if you won't give it, I'll find another way. Rokan was pissed but kept his cool. If they wouldn't give blood, he'd just borrow a trap. Snagging the trap, he gave a friendly goodbye and vanished into the bushes. They heard his farewell, but had no clue the disaster about to hit them. Rokan marched with the trap toward the wild beast's camp. He lightly took blood from one, then staged a fake scene to make it look like the ox had attacked. Pretending to be merciful, Rokan sincerely apologized to the corpse, then quickly checked his pants and hid behind a tree. Just as expected, the wild beasts blamed the ox. These two species have been mortal enemies forever. Throughout history, they've fought for control over the forest. Rokan planned to spark a war between them with this stunt. It was gonna happen anyway, he just sped things up a bit. This world needs hustlers like him to weed out the blind fools. Rokan returned to the OK camp, stirring up hatred by pointing the wild beasts' weapons at them. He slipped out just in time to add fuel to the fire and kick off the war strike first, ask questions later, and he'd be the one helping. The new OK leader saw the logic and took up his sword, rallying troops by the big lake to prepare for a full-scale attack. Rokan grinned slyly, acting chill, and marched with them, ready to enjoy the show. He was a damn con artist, a master at hiding his feelings. Throwing stones but hiding your hand, slick move, but you gotta act like the victim. The OK army stormed through the forest, and some other players freaked out seeing them. One guy tried to bail before they arrived but got stopped. running away and getting ambushed is just the same. That dude urged everyone to stay put for a bit. Before he could finish, Rokan strutted right through the ragtag army. Seeing him, the guy freaked out like a scared dog and begged his friends to run while they still could. But before they could make a move, the Ox spotted them. Rokan recognized this guy as the one who fought him last time in the square, but pretended not to know him and ignored his desperate pleas. He just dropped a casual warning to be more careful next time, then walked off, leaving the guy screaming in frustration. Man, Rokan's got the volume turned all the way up on being a jerk. Soon enough, the OK army reached the wild beasts camp. No time for talk, they charged straight into battle. Rokan stood back like a sly fisherman, seizing the moment to collect warrior blood. He finally got it. Even though he caused this mess, he didn't regret it. He was all in for the chaos. He kicked off the fight with a battle roar to distract the wild beasts, then moved in like a hot knife through butter. This war wasn't just about the blood. Rokan had another goal. His target was the wild beasts' leader. A boss monster stronger than even the OK leader. The wild beasts weren't obsessed with one-on-one fights, so taking him down was way trickier. That's why Rokan used the Ox to take out the wild beast's leader. This was his best shot. After dealing with the low-level mobs, when the boss got subdued by the OK leader, Rokan stepped in to finish the job. Under his swift attack, Rokan easily took down the enemy without breaking a sweat. He planned to break both of the guy's arms, but surprisingly, one was still intact. Before the boss could even spit out a last excuse, Rokan sliced off its fang much to the crowd's hype. A flood of level-up notifications popped up non-stop. He was the first to earn the title Ruthless Zone Conqueror, successfully defeating the zone's overlord. On top of that, he also unlocked the Dark Knight title, which lets him hide his identity. Rokan stared at the screen, chuckling with delight. But it seems the system won't let the mobs be his allies, meaning they could turn on him anytime. Whatever though, now that he can hide his identity, he's not scared of any punk. After gathering enough blood and loot, Rokan left the leftovers for the mobs to handle. Now it's time to head back to the Mage's Tower. Steroyan didn't expect Rokan to breeze through such high-difficulty quests so fast. He assigned Rokan another task, deliver a newly crafted potion to Matorian, out on the campaign. Holding the potion bottle, Rokan felt a bit nostalgic. These were his last quests in Caton before the real adventure began on the campaign. Just then, Rokan's one-day game login time expired. He'd need at least 5 more hours before logging back in. Time to catch up on the posts from before. He'd prepared for this by uploading dozens of item screenshots, hoping to get plenty of comments. And guess what, old man? His posts even made it to the Hot Topics section. Messages and purchase offers flooded in. Rokan weeded out the lowest bidders and ignored the groups. They always claimed to be guilds, but weren't legit guilds at all. You know, some famous names from the last round. After weighing options, Rokan decided the safest bet was the Fair Play Guild. They often helped newbies tamed ruthless PK players and did other good deeds. He arranged to meet them at the Easttown graveyard for the trade. To kill time, he decided to go out and buy some stuff. Everyone here was buzzing about Zelloth. Even at the University District in September, people were talking about it. While enjoying the fresh air, he suddenly ran into someone familiar, no, his ex. She blurted out his name Dung Min, after so long making him itch with annoyance. Turns out it was Lim Suhi, his ex, who cheated on him and ghosted him, now calling out his name outside. Because of Zelloth, he'd completely forgotten about her, but seeing her again reignited old grudges. For her it might have only been 4 months, but for him it felt like years. Seeing Rokan uninterested, she started teasing him, making things even more awkward. His new girlfriend standing nearby joined in, saying if he ever struggles in the game, he should hit up him, since he's the Zelloth expert. After being ignored by the customer again and again, Rokan stopped holding back, and stepped up to ask for the guy's ID. When he found out it was Philette, he burst out laughing. Because he didn't remember any name like that, it must have been some lame nickname. Rokan, feeling a mix of anger and amusement, reminded his buddy to level up hard and hit him up if he ran into trouble. He secretly thought about making that B times TH Liam Su realize his game ID was Rokan, then she'd regret messing with him. 5 hours later, Rokan logged back into the game to make a deal. To avoid getting caught, he hid his identity, changing his name and appearance, and kept it low-key for a solid hour. Rokan demanded the other side pay up front before he'd reveal the secret dungeon entrance. They didn't hesitate, used a skill to verify his identity, then paid a partial amount up front. Rokan's slick move went totally unnoticed. Once he got the cash, he opened the entrance for them right away. After they paid the full amount, seeing the hefty gold stack in his hands made his heart race with excitement. Just selling dungeon info already earned him over 50 gold, man, making bank ain't hard at all. With that settled, Rokan dropped his guard and dashed off to complete his quest. But damn, the distance was brutal. He barely got started before having to sit down gasping for air. Rokan wondered if this damn game really had to be this extra. It was a total grind, walking all day, and still nowhere near the destination. After dragging himself a bit more, the city gates finally came into view. Still, he stayed on high alert. If he died now, he'd have to start over, and that was way worse. While figuring out how to sneak inside, rustling sounds came from behind the bushes. He knew it wasn't monsters or trolls, but a bunch of tailing rats. As soon as he mentioned them, they popped up right in front of him, looking vicious as hell. Their glowing red eyes showed they'd killed players before and turned into PKs. They targeted players heading into town, scavenging dropped items. "Hey buddy, got a minute? I think we need to talk," one of them growled, stepping forward aggressively. "Talk? Sure, I'm all about talking," Rokan shot back without hesitation. "I've actually been itching to throw down for a while now." Seeing his crazy grin, they exchanged looks, wondering if this dude was nuts or just scared out of his mind. Rokan played their game, demanding each give up a piece of gear if they wanted to pass. But since they were PKs, they ignored him. Negotiations failed, and both sides jumped into a fight. 3 against 1, the rats didn't stand a chance. It was like the rats gave up, not Rokan. These guys were used to ganging up. If he attacked from afar, he'd have to dodge arrows. If he got close, the knight would target him. They always stuck close to protect each other, but Rokan just smirked, unleashed 2 powerful shockwaves, splitting them up and taking them down one by one. Faced with this brutal assault, none of the 3 could hold their ground. Rokan switched his weapon to the orc warrior's thigh bone, smashed it straight into the nearest guy's gut, then spun around and slammed it into Han's face. The ranged attacker tried to sneak a hit, but Rokan quickly reacted, turning the thigh bone into a spear for a direct strike. He chopped Han's arm, but there was still another guy. Han used a blink skill to rush in, but Rokan stopped messing around with bare hands. Earlier he pushed back thanks to a reflection skill, but now, no way, dude. Facing death, Han only managed to scream "monster" at him, but Rokan didn't accept that label. He said goodbye with a savage insult, cause these guys were just weaklings. Not done yet, the last attacker was still holding on. Han tried to sneak away, but Rokan caught up without breaking a sweat. Thought he was safe, but nope, bam, a huge rock smashed right into his head. Dead meat. Rokan totally crushed it, a flawless win. It's been a while since he felt this locked in. Fighting real players is way more hype than battling bots. Victory announcement blared out, but with it came the penalties. Still this time, he lucked out tons of their loot, dropped right into his hands. "You losers should have listened to me, don't you think?" Rokan checked his stats while talking to the guy hiding behind a tree who'd been watching him. Seeing the dude still hiding, Rokan had to threaten him hard before Han finally freaked out and ran out. Who the hell is this guy anyway? This one didn't have that red-eyed rage like the others, probably just a snitch, so Rokan ignored him, like air. He was about to tell him to stay quiet, and he'd spare him, but the guy wasn't having it. He used a detection skill to check Rokan's identity. Seeing a level 35 take down 3 level 40 players, dude couldn't believe it. He thought Rokan must have activated a challenge or used some cheat tool. Rokan was picking up loot when the guy pissed him off, so he slammed him straight into the tree, told him to shut up, and he'd let him live. But no, he just had to poke the hornet's nest. From the guy, Rokan snagged a super rare bow that looked pretty legit. Bet that dude was pissed. Rokan waited from dawn till late at night, expecting backup to come for revenge, but nope, everyone bailed, leaving him totally disappointed. He quickly headed to the Mage Guild in the Conquest Zone. It looked way more intense and fiery than the lower levels, but the number of mages wasn't that high. This class gets tougher the higher you go. Rokan walked up to the magic item shop and flashed a cool 10 grand saying, "Money's no object now, quality's what matters." 10 grand is an item used when running dungeons, letting you instantly teleport to any of 5 preset locations, as long as you're not in combat. Since it's linked to the player, no worries about losing it anywhere. Just add some cash, and you can even unlock up to 20 spots. Definitely a must-have item, just gotta grind for it. Rokan stormed into Matarian's room, handing over the antidote and a handwritten letter from Steroian. Matarian looked thoughtful, then eyed Rokan's rank with a sneer, asking if he was sure he could help. Rokan smiled bright as hell and confidently said, 100%, I got this. Though Matarian was pretty dismissive, he couldn't ignore Steroian's recommendation, so he had to assign the mission. It was a research task, deliver the wizard healer, Gopin's miracle cure, to him, no delays. Looking at this messed up quest, Rokan silently cursed Matarian as a total bastard. He's notorious among players as a super evil NPC, starting with this miracle cure from the wizard healer Gopin. Then he started demanding all kinds of rare materials unrelated to the main quest, and used them to complete research projects. Usually players can't refuse the main quest, so they have no choice but to reluctantly accept it. But that wasn't the case with Rokan. He still vaguely remembered the next item Materian requested. So he just bought it all at once, to keep it cool, no need to run around multiple times and wear himself out. He had plenty of cash, and most of the stuff was considered common items, so it was pretty cheap. Rokan dropped the cash in one go. Rich folks really don't hold back. With the necessary items in hand, he hauled a heavy bag back and laid it in front of Materian, making the guy jump in surprise. Looking at the stuff he needed, Materian was a bit suspicious. Rokan's excuse that he was Lord Sterowin's assistant made it seem legit. Materian finally let his guard down, handed over the reward, and assigned the remaining tasks. This time, Rokan had to get the blood and heart of the forest land god. These items couldn't be bought on the market because the heart of the forest land god could only be obtained by defeating the boss cup at level 80. It wasn't time to take down that boss yet, so Rokan had to put it on the back burner. But this server wasn't just about those quests. There were plenty of other cool things too. He quickly headed to the hero's statue in the square to search for the hero's legacy. In the previous server, some player spotted clues right on the statue and claimed it was the legacy left behind by the hero. Nobody believed it, but that player ended up finding it. Using that memory, Rokan followed the statue's direction and soon arrived at a hidden spot. He activated the fake search effect to check it out. Lucky break, a secret dungeon opened up, though it was a bit different from what he'd heard before. After following the path for a while with nothing happening, he silently wondered if Lan's intel was BS. A few dozen steps in the level 1 hero test began. Before Rokan could get a grip, a barrage of rocks came crashing down ahead. Seeing that massive rockfall, his heart raced and legs shook. No time to react, he tensed up and braced himself to block it. Knowing it was dumb to stop the boulders with nowhere to run, he just went all in, go big or go home. After a tough struggle, he managed to take them down, but his stamina dropped quite a bit. To move forward, he had no choice but to use every ounce of strength to clear the path. It was seriously tight. He knew the first level was a test of willpower, but didn't expect it to be this brutal. After some climbing and hanging on, he cleared level 1 and moved on to level 2. Standing before a long, eerie corridor, he tossed a rock to test it out. Just as expected, countless deadly traps were set ahead. If that guy's info was legit, this had to be a test of intelligence. Without tools to scout or disarm traps, they probably wanted players to use their brains. But Rokan wasn't about those tricks. No brains, just brawn. He'd get through this place in no time, but by other means. He activated his level boost, then added a speed burst and battle support skills. Rokan shouted and dashed like lightning past the deadly corridor. He barely escaped with his life, but the brutal intelligence test was done and dusted. Just in time, with his health dropping below 10%, Rokan chugged a health potion. If it weren't for that, he'd probably have died from skill exhaustion already. He pushed forward, diving into the third challenge, the emotional trial. Word is, there's some crazy psychological magic that lures challengers in, like a seductive woman showing up, or piles of treasure and loot, or even a table loaded with food. Just thinking about it gives you chills. Rokan was ready to handle it, steeling himself to resist the negative mind games, expecting to be surrounded by a horde of beauties. But what's there? Just a rickety rope bridge over a garden pond. Then he got it, major letdown. But wait, Rokan actually failed the mid-challenge on purpose to find the real path. After some fumbling around, he finally found it, landing awkwardly on the ground. The hero challenge pass notification blared, and in front of him was the sealed helmet of the Master King. Along with another quest, find the Master King's outfit, boots, and all that jazz. He picked up the helmet and inspected it. It was part of a set, and the seal was on the skill points. This was a super OP item capable of boosting him at least 100 levels. No, make that 150. The only problem, the missing pieces. What's the point if he can't get them? After grabbing the helmet, the challenge vanished, and he was instantly teleported outside before he could even react. At the same time, the statue cracked and crumbled, leaving everyone there stunned and dumbfounded. Rokan didn't care much. He just kept grinding through other challenges. 3 days later, Rokan was soaked to the bone. And after playing the problem solver, he realized life here, or in the real world, was just as tough. That quest had him a forever alone dude, running errands like a mailman. Forced to watch some gross PDA scene made him want to puke. But hey, it wasn't all bad. He scored a pretty useful item. An emerald tear ring that restores health after the petrification effect. Then, bam, a system notification popped up with a bunch of new updates, including guild system upgrades, housing system updates, and new items added to Braba. After reading the notice, Rokan felt enlightened. The guild system was finally live, with each guild stone costing 50 gold, which equals about 200,000 coins in the real world. But he wasn't focused on that. What caught his eye was the housing system. What's faster than jumping into real estate? With this update, Rokan could buy houses in the city or land to build on. He dashed to the real estate NPC, pulled out 65 gold coins, and shouted he'd rent out every house there. The NPC was shook, counting the gold and calculating the number of houses he could rent out. After signing the contract and dropping 65 gold as a deposit, Rokan was hyped. Because once the guild was established, members would need a guild house, a safe spot to store guild stones, and show off the guild's power. No way they'd settle for some tiny shack. Just thinking about it, Rokan already saw a future of riches living in mountains of gold and silver. Next up, time to grab some quests and go hunting. He grabbed his gear and confidently stepped into the forest to hunt the gecko men. He started with a battle roar, grabbing their attention before charging straight into the fight. It wasn't long before he joined his ancestors. With his skill in slicing meat, he easily got its tail with a 100% success rate, and sometimes even scored extra gear. Rokan kept fighting, and before long, his level shot up. Just then, from the shadows, the tailing group appeared. They'd been watching him for a while, probably thinking he was tired, so they finally showed themselves. They were the buddies of those 3 PKers from before. Rokan seemed pretty hyped to see them. He raised his weapon toward them, saying, "Good to see you guys. Didn't expect you to be here. You're ready to die, Odin soldier." The other dude didn't get a word of his nonsense, like Rokan had already been pierced through by them before. Thinking back, Rokan got madder. In his past life, that guy was Helios, ranked 19th in Zelloth, 9th in the Ragnarok Guild, the one who brought Rokan to his end. "I'll beat you so bad you won't even dare to dream anymore. I'll push you back a bit, just watch." The other dude wasn't backing down either. He got more hyped than ever, since they didn't have to waste energy chasing Rokan anymore. "I guarantee I'll teach him a lesson he won't forget," he confidently told his crew. The bow and sword emblem on his face, if Rokan remembered right, that was the mark of the Blood Hunter PK Guild. He stripped off his shirt, revealing his ripped muscles, and confidently told the guy he'd bury him along with that lame guild. Before Rokan could say more, the gang rushed in to attack first. It was one against many, shaking the ground with flying debris. They focused all their hits on Rokan, no shame, just winning at all costs. But Rokan was known as the king of violence, so this was nothing to him. He got up close and punched the leader a few times. Helios couldn't hold back, throwing powerful blows to break through. Rokan got pushed back but didn't lose his cool. He stared him down like a boss handling a street punk. Helios, humiliated as a weakling, whose magic and sword skills were just empty shells, flew into a rage and charged with all his might. But he was too slow. Rokan had fought him 1,000 times in his past life, so he could totally read his moves. However, surprise old man, just as Rokan was about to counter, Helios pulled out his trump card, Foam's Incinerate. "Ha ha ha, you pathetic loser. You've never seen anything like this before, right?" Helios shouted gleefully, and swung a powerful strike. Rokan barely recognized it as a fire element skill of common rank before he was engulfed in flames. Everyone thought he'd turn to ashes just like that, exactly what that jerk wanted. But no, he stood tall, mask on, and landed a finishing blow on Helios. Helios couldn't believe it, a mere level 35 noob surviving his common rank magic attack. He kept calling Rokan a faker, which just made Rokan itch with irritation. "Dumbass, I already told you you're still weak. I said I'd personally send that bastard off to the promised land." The leveling up announcement rang out again, and sometimes Rokan wished he could just explode because he was too perfect. That mask he wore, he barely won by a hair or else he'd be dead meat. Honestly, he almost got beaten at the last second. Rokan didn't expect him to use magic of the same level. In the last zone, players hunting monsters were in danger if those beasts were lurking nearby, and this zone was no different. To fight them off, the weaker players teamed up and almost managed to hold their ground against those bastards. Thinking back, most who attacked were from the Magic Guild, and they got pretty famous for it. But now, it's different. The Magic Guild can't do that anymore, so I've taken over all their work. Rokan grinned wickedly, wondering if he should try out the Purge title. Oh snap, before he could even use it, a bunch of other guys got summoned right at his feet. Rokan smashed the beam with one hit, cocky as hell, ready to wipe them all out in one go, no need to drag it out and bore people. Then, in a flash, the brutal strikes flew 15 against 1 easy peasy. Next up was 9 against 1, with tons of loot dropping non-stop. The ranged fighters wondered how he blocked that. It was a natural attack, with 100% accuracy was the enemy, some kind of hacker. Rokan didn't care to listen. He climbed straight to the top without using the stairs. Weaklings always talk nonsense. These idiots don't even understand their own skills. They don't know to reassess the situation after their guy got blocked. Some even wanted to report him, but now it's too late. Time to have fun looting. Rokan took some hits, but scored some sweet loot, so it was worth it. He snagged an invisibility cloak, a rare tier item with great skills and super hard to get. Rokan silently cursed them for being dumb enough to bring this stuff to a PK zone. They must have been cocky, thinking they were unbeatable with their crew. Before he could catch his breath, someone popped up out of nowhere. No energy left, so Rokan activated invisibility right away. He just hit the bushes waiting for the right moment to either throw down or bail out. Watching the two guys in front chat for a bit, he got a good feeling. Judging by how pissed off they were locked on tight. Find him as soon as possible, threaten or kill him, whatever it takes. We gotta get that invisibility cloak back. Some bitches got it now. The other dude stomped angrily and yelled at his team. Rokan figured the cloak's owner was probably his girlfriend or something, but they were probably about to break up. Plus, he overheard. They bought those items from the hidden female dungeon. That's when Rokan noticed the emblem on the guy's jacket and remembered what that dungeon was about. It's the shady P Guild, always acting like they're on the side of justice, but actually pulling the strings behind PK guilds that massacre others. Memories flooded back of when he teamed up with them to attack the Bloodthirsty Guild. Those bloodthirsty members joined the shady P Guild after admitting their wrongdoings, but was everything really going as planned? No way, it's way more complicated. Rokan got stabbed in the back hard, but now he gets it, so his next move is to level up as fast as possible to face them head on. And then he kept hunting those god-rolling monster guys to rack up experience points. After a wild battle, a new record was set. You defeated 100 enemies stronger than you without taking a break. Each enemy you kill restores 1% of your health. It was a bit of a blur, but still he managed to hold his ground against the Great Warrior and hit his target faster than death. Rokan smoothly hit level 50, unlocking the option to choose a second class, which lets him access a variety of new skills. He quickly pulled out the Magic District Pass and headed back to the city to upgrade his skills. Just as he appeared, barely taking a step, a bunch of waiting enemies closed in on him. One cocky dude stepped up, pressing close with a greedy tone. "Hey man, we need to talk." This was Rokan's turf, so he flat out refused right then and there. Seeing Rokan wasn't even fazed, they got pushy, trying to force him to come along. He was totally drained. Putting on a bored face, he opened his system window, cranked the volume and shouted out loud, "Security help." While those guys were still stunned, a squad of NPC guards rushed in to surround them. Turns out PKed isn't allowed to roam the city, because the gatekeepers block them from entering. Taking advantage of this, Rokan showed them what a real party looks like. He smirked confidently in front of those fools who dared to get close. "Yeah, city guards, please do your job and serve some justice." Before they scattered in chaos, Rokan reminded them that if they wanted to find their lost stuff, they should check the auction market. He set a pretty reasonable price, kinda pricey, but still affordable for most. He bet these guys would definitely hit some kind of glitch or bug, just wait and see. After the sale, he browsed the main page, and just as he predicted, guilds that had reached the second city were posting recruitment ads. They were using houses as bait to pull in more members. And of course, this was the perfect time for him to sell his houses. A new post went up under the alias Zen Krypton, currently selling lots of 2 to 3 story houses. "I'll transfer ownership of these houses through a week-long auction via long-term accounts." As soon as the post went live, tons of people commented. Some recognized the account from a previous post about a mysterious dungeon, so they trusted him quite a bit. Even the shady P Guild and the Bloodthirsty Guild reached out wanting to trade. Looks like this is gonna be lit. Rokan eagerly waited for the next week to see the show unfold. But for now, he had to hit the Berserker Guild. Looking around, he couldn't help but sigh. This place was a total dump, just like any other Warzone spot in Canton High. When they found out he was there to change classes, the NPC thought he was quitting the Berserker life and started giving him a headache with their long-winded advice. Not letting the guy ramble, Rokan cut him off with a sharp punch and urged him to hand over the documents quickly. He was ready to switch to his second class. The NPC grew more skeptical and launched into a long spiel, warning him to think carefully because once he decided there was no turning back. If he picked the same class as before, his existing skills would just level up. But that meant fewer skill types overall, so he wouldn't be able to mix and match to maximize their full potential. Rokan had been mulling this over forever. He knew this second class upgrade wouldn't just be a repeat of the first. If he got lucky with some special quests, he might even unlock a hidden class. But it didn't really matter, because whichever he chose, he'd have to grind it out. Every class has its own pros and cons. Hearing Rokan confidently say he has no regrets, the NPC happily handed over the documents right away. Stamped the confirmation that he had advanced to the second profession thanks to his initial success. Now it was time to pick a weapon. Unfortunately, they didn't have any booze, but in that field, he snagged something better than gold, a gecko claw weapon. This thing was super rare, could protect his shoulders, boost defense, and even be upgraded and inscribed with runes. Next up was skill unlocking. Rokan confidently told them to bring everything out for him. But after checking his empty wallet, his face fell. He was broke. Damn, it felt like he'd wasted everything in the past and was staring down a bleak future, not having earned a single dime from auction items yet. To cover the losses, Rokan hit the bank for another loan. Since he'd reached the second profession, he could borrow up to 3 gold coins. Rokan didn't hesitate to take all 3. He was short on cash, but loaded with assets. With money in hand, he forgot all about the tough days. He immediately upgraded his skills, adding a new one called Deep Life. He boosted damage and gained a ranged pursuit skill, plus a circular skill his tribe's chief had used before. Not a ton, but hey, better than nothing. Rokan rubbed his chin, thinking mastering a few skills was better than knowing a little about everything. He knew plenty of players had already crushed it with just one profession like him. After bringing the divine blood back to Matorian, he was handed another quest to retrieve fruit guarded by wild monsters. Thinking about that jerk, not even bothering to glance back at him, made Rokan's chest tighten. He knew this quest had 15 parts, 4 more to go. Well, no choice, Rokan quickly headed to the swamp to earn some street cred. Even though the place was crawling with monsters, he seemed pumped because if they ran into him now, they'd get wrecked instantly. But wait, what the hell, stopping for like 5 seconds? What kind of crazy coincidence is this? It was that pack of PKed again, no clue how long they'd been there. As soon as they saw him, they backed off, saying they didn't want to start beef, but just wanted to talk and make a deal. The catch, just hand back the cloak he'd picked up and they'd let him go, they said. Rokan laughed like a maniac, hand it back. Yeah right, what a joke. He bet these guys didn't even know what a deal was. Seeing he was still strong, they got cocky, saying he was just pretending to be innocent because he was confident in his skills, but think again. They'd hunt him down until he quit the game no way out. The more Rokan heard, the more confused he got. Who was hunting, who wasn't clear at all. He blew his top and challenged them, if they really wanted the cloak that bad, come and take it themselves. Truly some fated folks, but maybe cursed fate sometimes in this crazy busy world we accidentally mess with each other. Told them to stop yapping. He had everything and was ready to throw down hard. In no time, Rokan had the whole gang beaten to a pulp. They scrambled around like headless chickens, wondering if the other guy was only level 30. But then they were shocked to find out Rokan was already level 50. How the hell did he hit level 50 in just a few days? Is he some kind of game hacker or what? Even if he's not a hacker, he's damn close. No regular player could pull off what he did. Feeling helpless in the face of the situation, they couldn't afford any more losses. So they yelled at each other to save their aim and open fire together. If we die together. Knowing the group was about to pull some dirty tricks, Rokan singled out one guy as a human shield, taking the bullets while the others kept firing non-stop. But he didn't expect to take so many hits. If they'd used higher level magic, he'd probably be dead by now, but at least he still had control. A hailstorm of arrows rained down archers and mages, waiting to strike at least 100 of them. It wasn't too hard to fight them off, but he didn't have enough mana to handle all 100. So far he could only take on 20. While fighting, Rokan decided to conserve mana by cutting back on high-cost skills, then slowly level up to regenerate mana. It wasn't time to show off his skills yet. The PKed kept closing in, working together to land critical hits. After a while of struggling, they finally trapped Rokan, binding him with golden chains as thick as a forearm. These chains were made from prison shackles, pretty sturdy stuff. Once they had him restrained, they focused all their attacks on him. You'd think Rokan would freak and try to bail, but nah, he just smirked arrogantly, almost admiring their relentless effort. He even dared them to attack with everything they had. A fiery rain poured down. The guys cheered like it was a party, thinking they'd finished him off. But no matter how hard they tried, it was all for nothing. Dream on, losers. Right before their eyes, the golden chains shattered, and Rokan grabbed his hammer, soaring boldly into the air. Like Superman, then slammed a straight hit into the leader's face. Screams followed, heads bleeding, and constant level-up notifications popped up. Especially, he earned a title worthy of PKed Hunters for the first time after taking down 100 players. With this title, when facing other players, his attack and defense boost by 15% and critical hit chance goes up by 10%. Rokan couldn't believe he got such a sick reward. With this, he could easily wreck more enemies at once, maybe even 1,000 no sweat. He dreamed of the day he'd get the 1000 Assassin title, which probably comes with even bigger rewards. But as hype as that was, first, he had to grind some loot and head back to town. After wrapping things up, Rokan came up with a new plan. He posted a hot thread on the forum to troll the PKed players. I'm planning to take down those bloodthirsty hunters and the two-faced players killing others in the Chinskirk area. If you see them, hit me up. To stay safe, he dropped over 30 silver coins on a gem that creates a safe zone, preventing attacks within 6 feet when he's hurt. Once everything was set, Rokan headed back to the swamp to tackle his main quest. Meanwhile, the leader of the Shady P Guild got super pissed after reading Rokan's provocative post. Even though his tiny girlfriend tried to talk him out of it all, she got back were sharp words from him. According to him, that cloak is super rare, and wearing it even grants invisibility skills. Tons of people are ready to drop mad cash just to get their hands on it. It's basically unbeatable, even capable of taking down high-level players when worn. Thanks to a 10,000-word scroll marking the spot, Rokan quickly made it to the swamp. Pumped up, he charged straight into battle with the tree monsters. But these guys were annoying as hell, like pet fish dropping barely anything in small numbers and constantly running around. Man, it wore him out. Rokan had to spam his farming moves all over the place. If they didn't, they would have been done for. Finally, after a solid grind, he gathered enough monster fruit. After that, he racked his brain to figure out the second quest, hoping to combine them and avoid multiple trips. Still sharp, despite the stress, he remembered it was the Crystal Light Lake. The water there is crystal clear and clean, and it temporarily boosts Nenma when drunk. Mages often fill their bottles there to carry along. But his mission wasn't to collect water like some fairy tale. It was about the monsters roaming around the lake, the thorny bushes, and those fish. While scouting around, Rokan heard some rummaging nearby. Using his invisibility cloak, he sneaked over to eavesdrop. Turns out it was someone he knew. The leader of the Mo P Guild was super salty and pissed, yelling at his lackeys because the quest was Rokan's. The PK gang wanted to ignore it, but their leader still had some brains. If players saw PKs dodging fights, they'd be less scared of them. That would make them easy targets, which was exactly Rokan's plan from the start. To fix this, Han made them figure out a new strategy. If the enemy isn't PK, then turn Han into PK, that's the move. Catching PKs is justice served. Bored watching the drama, listening to their pointless chatter, Rokan overheard the name Pyrrha. Then he remembered that bastard was the one dating Lim Sui. He once said PK had a decent rep in Zelloth, so it must be true. And of course the one rocking the invisibility cloak was none other than Lim Sui's ex. It's true what they say, fate brings cats together, but bad luck makes them run into each other all the time. Rokan started playing Zelloth because of her just to get her attention in the game. But she didn't just throw him into the chicken coop, she also sent some random dude to mess him up pretty bad. Just thinking about it makes him salty, but no worries, he's about to get his revenge. There was nothing left to watch. They'd all left the arena, so Rokan went to check out the lake with the loot. Pretty lucky, since luck always follows him, there was no one else around. Just when things were chill, the monsters showed up, blood beasts and blood wolves. After the monster stopped, he needed to get clean meat, but damn, he ran into some monsters over level 80, so it took a while. There were about 10 of them, but they weren't that strong. Rokan wiped them all out pretty quick. When you're hunting, you gotta be ready for stuff like this. Seeing those shady guild guys messing with monsters earlier was seriously annoying. Just as he was about to finish off the last one, a voice rang out sharp as steel. Who's the punk messing up this lake? Rokan thought to himself, wondering who dared to disturb his turf. But when he turned around, he got a little shook. Too caught up in the moment, he forgot. This guy always talks all fancy. Turns out he's a knight who's totally in love with the lake's spirit. So he's gonna protect the lake no matter what, even if it means dealing with some garlic breath. Only a level 100 boss like him can guard it. Rokan was a bit nervous, because even though he was level 100, the gap between 99 and 100 is like night and day. At level 100, combo skills unlock, creating a massive power gap. He planned to come back later. Beating a level 100 monster was required to unlock the third job, but he didn't want to risk it now. Plus, this guy was known as one of the toughest level 1 monsters near the battle zone, and he only drops the lake's spirit essence. Speaking of the lake's spirit essence, Rokan's eyes lit up. If he could snag that and bring it to the guy researching pure energy, that'd be clutch. Rokan was blinded by greed now. He didn't feel fear anymore, and just went all in. Sometimes you gotta be ruthless to get things done. Bring it on, you OCD freak. I'm done holding back, let's go. The opponent didn't hold back either immediately, using a combo skill at the start of the fight. It was Foss, which boosts attack power by channeling energy into the weapon. But Rokan still didn't get why he'd use his ultimate skill right off the bat. Was he seriously being underestimated? To counter, at Hoai's water slash, Rokan used his own energy, taunting him hard. You're the lake's protector, yet you're the one destroying it. Blocking the attack, Rokan's weapon got chipped and his health dropped from the damage every time the sword touched him. At Hawaii used water slash again. Spotting a blind spot, Rokan blinked over and slashed. The water slash blocked it, but that was his only opening. Rokan went berserk again to attack. He was kinda unlucky, facing a top-tier level 100 monster, who combined all attack, defense and survival skills to fight him. While holding his ground, Rokan noticed those survival skills tended to have cooldowns. To stay steady, he kept pushing, like he was totally fine. At Hawaii charged again. Even though Rokan was in berserk mode, his effects could be nullified by Foss, and his weapon might just vanish into smoke. He had to end this in one hit if he wanted to win. Rokan started stripping off gear. At Hawaii, curious, asked what he was doing, preparing to die. Yeah, pretty much ready to die. Rokan was about to hit his limit. You're right, I'm ready to die. He was done climbing and just charged in, ignoring that Atvai had activated the water shield. Just as he was about to make contact, Rokan suddenly leapt up, then used a spin to throw the stretcher far away. Taking advantage of the distraction, Rokan closed in on him, then unleashed a flurry of skills. First, he put on the iron helmet and stood firm. Once he grabbed the stretcher back, he blinked and delivered a critical strike that shattered Atvai's water shield. A series of lightning-fast moves so quick, even death itself wouldn't catch them. After the deafening explosion, the close combat finally ended, and Rokan let out a small breath. Luckily, he'd been grinding hard, stacking up title effects, which boosted his critical hit rate significantly. But with that came overworking his gear, which definitely needed some serious maintenance as soon as possible. Though the fight was over, it wasn't the end yet. Atvai was still twitching and prepping for another round. Just bad luck for him that the boss was a violent king, so he ended up as just XP fodder. Hey, where do you think you're going? Rokan stepped forward and stabbed him with his own sword. Atvai bit the dust, and Rokan snagged a bunch of new titles. To stay safe while farming, he pulled out a gem that created a safe zone. No more worrying about monsters respawning. Exhausted, Rokan sat dazed on the ground, not even having time to collect himself before the system hit him with a flashy notification. Because he met a special condition, the titles Reverse Warrior and First Hunter combined. These two formed the legendary Limit Break title, boosting all stats by 10% when facing stronger opponents, blah blah. If Rokan didn't get called a challenge beast after this, he might as well just jump off a cliff. He squinted hard to read it again, muttering thanks to this legit game, because that's why he accepted it. Just as he was zoning out, someone attacked from behind. Luckily, the safe zone activated and sent him back to the ground safely. After throwing the fireball, the others didn't even dare show their faces. They whispered among themselves that he must be hacking, since the last attack just barely missed to the right. They even recorded it and ran off to find the admin to complain. Rokan didn't have time to care. He pulled out a trap to collect fish, imagining how Martyrion's face would turn when he saw this. Before meeting Martyrion, Rokan bought some items to buff himself. Even though they cost a gold coin each, he gritted his teeth and paid up because it was necessary. Then he headed back to the Pure Light Lake to gather enough clean meat. Normally people use rods or nets, but he tossed a bomb charged with lightning straight into the lake. That's called illegal electric fishing, enough to kill a person, let alone fish. After grabbing all the heads he needed, he rushed back to Martyrion's place. Pretty impressive that he could finish all the quests at once, but still didn't get a single title reward. Rokan was about to complain, but Martyrion spoke first. Your next request is still too early for you. Come back when you're stronger. The more Rokan heard, the more pissed he got. I'm salty as hell, but what can I do? But when I wanted to punch Ga once, that jerk did everything to stop me, and now he's kicking me out the chicken boss. Basically, it's all that boss's fault. These missions are only for players level 100 and up. To slip past that requirement, Rokan pulled out the essence from the lake and handed it to Ga, acting like he had no clue. Martyrion took it, inspected it for a bit, then instantly flipped his attitude. He was shocked to find out Rokan got it himself. Martyrion's face turned sly, and he threw out the next demand, not caring if Rokan was even level 120 yet. This time, Rokan had to bring Ga an item containing the power of death, linked to the missing investigator, Hakin. Piece of cake, easy as pie. Rokan had already met the mission's strict conditions, and the reward was the investigator's ring. Powerful and rare, usable, even past level 100. Just thinking about it made Rokan hype as hell. He could get way stronger using it. Before Martyrion could ask again, Rokan confirmed he'd take the mission right then and there. Following the lead from the missing investigator, Hakin or Rokan had already scoured everywhere to find him, but barely found any info. To meet Hakiner, he needed to collect 15 pages of his notes, scattered across the monster fields. But since the pages were dropped randomly, he struggled to find the last page back then. Now it's different. He easily grabbed 11 pages from the auction, since everyone thought they were just useless junk. Only 4 pages left to find. and he needed to track them down. But time was tight. Besides the main mission, he had tons on his plate like this real estate auction and dealing with the PKed gang. Rokan opened the homepage, checking comments on the post and private messages. Surprise, old man, he got tons of reports from players getting ambushed, some robbed 4 to 5 times a day. Rokan dug up their last known location. There it was, the Goblin Village in the forest. That's the hunting ground for level 30 players. Those smartasses were trying to slaughter low-level players. Rokan grinned with satisfaction. He was gonna make them taste some serious shame, saying that he dashed over there like a bullet. Meanwhile, the PKed gang was feeling pretty cocky, threatening players to hand over items if they wanted to live. Rokan used his invisibility cloak to scout the scene, but it was boring as hell. "Thanks for the meal," he said, then charged out, landing a knockout blow on each of their deadbeat heads. The rest freaked out, screaming like lost monkeys, pushing each other to run away. But since he'd come all this way, Rokan wasn't letting a single one escape. He roared battle cries, took control, and danced through them like an artist, sending them all back to their ancestors. Everyone who saw that was blown away, couldn't help but call him badass, a true rookie boss. Suddenly, a girl walked up next to the petite bunny-like figure. Oh wait, it was Rokan. Thought she was about to confess, but turns out she got a message from a friend, under attack by a bunch of PKed in the northern branch, and wanted to call for help. That's his gig. He hears the news and immediately rolls out the spell scroll, ready to roll. Before taking off, he acted all cool, waving his hand like, "Hey girl, tell your friend, I'll be there, and handle those guys in 5 minutes." The next day, Rokan basically wiped out the PKed in the area so thoroughly that no more complaints came in. He sat bored, thinking about how badass he was for rushing in and taking down those bloodthirsty fools. Man, those were the days, glorious days for sure. Mazur saw that the PKed gave up direct fights, making Rokan chase after them instead. Plus, they got way more cautious when killing others, making them as hard to find as bugs in leaves. Honestly, these young folks give up way too soon. Nah, can't let that slide. Bored Rokan figured he'd stop chasing and hit the auction house instead. At the auction, he had a slick idea. If they're hiding, just bait them out. Next day at Catton Square, tons of players gathered for the auction. Even the big guilds showed up. And of course Pyrrha was there, the Mur-P guild leader, the mastermind behind the bloodthirsty gang and the X's new flame. The lot's huge now, and soon the game levels will reflect players' real-life status. So guild power is everything. Rokan stepped up, hiding his identity behind a dark veil and a disguise. He showed off all the items and announced the auction start. But before he could do more, someone objected. Pyrrha from Mur-P called him out. "Hold up, something's off. How do we know you're the real host?" Pyrrha said that because his guild had dealt with the Creepton account before, but now this guy looked totally different. Pyrrha wanted to test him with a gamble, but Rokan shot back a line that made him want to scream. "Then you don't have to join. Simple. If you don't trust me, just don't participate, easy right?" Saying that, Rokan ignored him and kicked off the auction. "The loot's mine bro, don't even try." First up were 2-story houses going for 10 gold coins a month. Bidding got fierce, 12, 15, then 20. Pyrrha, seeing the tension, jumped in with 22 gold coins. But Rokan acted like he didn't even see him, and sealed the deal at 20 gold coins. Pyrrha was mad as hell, seriously salty. Rokan signed the contract right there on the auction floor, leaving them all frustrated. He fixed his coat ready for the next round, but not before trolling Pyrrha a bit. "If Mur-P breaks the rules again, you're out of the next auction." Knowing he got played, Pyrrha could only grit his teeth and take it. He swore he'd settle the score with Rokan after the auction. Houses kept selling, but Mur-P still hadn't snagged a single one. Pyrrha was confident the big guilds had already bought their houses, so he just planned to watch and grab the cheapest one. Rokan looked at the brainless dude with a sly grin, dropping a final bid announcement like, "A boss, this is the last auction item." Pyrrha's face twisted in panic, on the edge of a meltdown. Before Rokan could even call out a bid, he locked it in at 35 gold coins. No, wait, 40 gold coins in total chaos. The other players winced hearing that final bid. 40 gold coins equals like 8,000 bucks in cash. Rokan just snagged the deal on the spot. Pyrrha was hyped, locking down the last spot, acting like a low-level player, finally scored a crib. While Pyrrha was still dreaming about that house and a pile of gold, Rokan was already dropping another auction. He shouted out loud after a long break, announcing the next auction, a 3-story house. "What the heck? Scam alert. You just said that was the last one." Pyrrha lost his cool, calling him out. Rokan played it cool, reminding him that was only the last 2-story house. He already announced there were plenty more 3-story houses up for grabs. "Maybe you want to join the 3-story auction. If you had that much gold, I wouldn't even stop you." Pyrrha got spun around by Rokan's words, too mad and out of arguments to fight back, then stormed off. Han glanced around, looking all over, then ducked into a corner searching for someone. Meeting up, they seemed like teammates who cared, but nah, they were ready to choke each other out. That guy threatened Pyrrha, saying they roll together because it's mutually beneficial. So if you become useless, don't expect any mercy. Han pulled out a contract and handed it over, saying the transfer paperwork would follow. He used to want to buy a house for the M-clan, but now he's changed his mind. The more he thought about it, the clearer it was. Only one way to get back what's his. Han's gonna catch Rokan and leak that tape across every server. Pyrrha urged Han to use every resource to gather members and hunt Rokan down at all costs. Meanwhile, opposite to Han's mood, Rokan was stoked, staring at the massive stack of cash in his pocket. 335 gold, 68 silver, and 17 coins. He wondered if he's now the richest player in the whole game. To flex his wealth, he put that gold up for sale on the forum. 20 gold coins for 400 bucks. No negotiations. Guilds are broke right now. They'll buy it even if it's a crazy price. Everything's set. Now he just needs to check on the trap he set earlier. When those dumb bloodsuckers got wiped, they must have been desperate for gold. They're probably farming in the sand zone trying to make cash, he thought. And sure enough, just like he guessed in the Western Outpost, the big shots of the Blood Sand Guild were grinding monsters hard to level up. Rabouin Douzier C-79, the skull-crushing boss, was confident he could one-shot clear the mobs here. Javelin Thrower C-79, the guild's deputy, was no slouch either. After getting orders from guild leader Kaban for all members to move to the northern area, they packed up and moved out immediately. Meanwhile, Rokan had been holding off their crew for a while now. Damn, I thought we were tight, but seeing how you're crazily chasing us down, they had to be cautious. Following orders to stall, they attacked with hit-and-run tactics, moving while striking. The archer dealt long-range damage, while the melee warrior kept watching and striking whenever the chance popped up. Among these guys here, Rokan noticed a few were seriously strong, but the fact they neither went all out nor ran away just lurking around felt kinda off. Just as he caught on, a whole other crew showed up from behind him. They popped out, acting all superior, declaring today was his last day. Turns out the leaders had arrived. Rokan saw them and grinned like he hit the jackpot, calling out to the general. You guys always spouting nonsense, you really are a bunch of trash. No clue which side's the real coward dragging this out. Their master stood frozen like a statue. Rokan, tired of waiting, dared them to charge all at once. No point standing there wasting time. True to his word, the whole gang launched a full-on assault immediately. The moment he said that, the whole place turned into a battlefield. Rokan opened his inventory, strapped on a steel helmet, wiped out the small fry, and moved straight toward the leaders. Facing him was Bundauser C-76, a strong dude who could fight wielding hammers in both hands. Up above, there was a level 79 Javelin Thorough, attacking from afar, plus the guild leader on the right flank. After sizing up the scene, Rokan decided to take out that masked guild leader first, before things got worse. But to do that, he had to get past two sneaky guys, blocking the path near the rock. This lineup of tough opponents was pretty challenging for him. If he switched to fusion mode, he could probably take them down quick. But he couldn't rush it, still no clue what happened next. After thinking it through, Rokan launched a direct attack, then leapt up to strike from above, circling around to throw axes at his target. Seeing that Javelin Thorough shot a critical arrow at him, he was confident it could take Rokan down in a heartbeat. But surprise, Rokan wasn't fazed at all. He even laughed, teasing that the guy almost skewered himself. Javelin Thorough's face twisted in disbelief, couldn't believe what he just saw. He even used his precision skill on that arrow. So how the hell did Rokan dodge it and catch it? Forget the answer. Rokan threw the spear back, adding a bit more power to it. Javelin Thorough freaked out, activated his mage's escape skill, and jumped back 3 meters. Oh man, that move was way off. Rokan had it all figured out, baited him just right when he retreated. From a distance, Rokan threw the spear, so the guild leader's head popped off, leaving his teammates dumbfounded. What now? Only one guy left. Rokan glared at the last one, threatening him. The guy's head steamed with rage, roaring like a wild beast, as he charged to settle the score. But he had no idea his opponent was top tier, no joke. With a strength stat of 250, the angry guy was the strongest in the guild, and still cocky, thinking he was unbeatable. Meanwhile, while his underlings struggled, the guild leader chilled off to the side, casting magic. Rokan grabbed the raging guy, used his bare hands to choke him out. Felt damn good after taking down those 2 big threats. His level jumped to 61, with stats looking pretty solid too. Now there's only one guy left, and he's holding back from killing him. Is he seriously just gonna sit there and watch his own men die? What kind of leader is that? No matter what the other guy said, he just sat there. After a bit, he suddenly jumped up and announced he'd finished sinking. Then the ghostly figures started fading away, slowly rushing in to attack Rokan. You really want to know why I let them die together? Simple: fighting solo. I'm way stronger than facing those weak demons. Kaban finally answered his question. As a ghost assassin, while they were fighting, he merged with all the souls around. This place was totally under his control. Rokan looked chill, but he was a bit on edge. Ghost assassins, a hidden class in the guild. It's super rare to get, so even when activated it's hardly ever seen. But whatever, rare or not, I'll just beat him to dust. Rokan leapt high, then slammed down, wiping out those ghost traces far away. Kudi, damn it, I thought my opponent was human. Thought I'd sliced him up, but no way, they were like air dodging out of sight in a flash. Ambushed from behind, Rokan took a critical hit, his health dropping below 50%, his whole body poisoned, paralyzed and bleeding, losing 30% health fast. Kaban was pissed, like, you really think you can take them on? Just then, a familiar voice rang out, catching him off guard. Don't get bummed yet, it's just getting started. The Bloodhunt Guild leader, or Ragnarok Guild's 8th rank, Nithok. Oh snap, Rokan resisted the poison with his natural toxin immunity.